Okay, who do we got here today?
Hi, my name is Gavin. I'm actually a senior at Chaminade University, and I'll be answering questions from Cooper.
So, Gavin, what are your views on drunk driving?
It's an unfortunate event. I think a lot of people have to go through. I mean, even though a lot of families are being hurt by drunk drivers, people aren't really careful on the road, and people don't know their limits. So I think, if you obviously see somebody drunk, let alone at midnight, you gotta just tell them, find a way back home through somebody else. I mean, don't try to cause other people harm, let alone yourself harm. So, to me, that's my greatest advice about drunk driving. I don't think it's a smart decision, but nevertheless, it happens, and it's a very unfortunate thing that happens.
Right. Do you think that education price is too high? And if so, what could we do about it?
I think it is. Education is very expensive here in Hawaii. It's also expensive to live here, let alone. So, what can it do to be limited? I think a lot of times, the state doesn't do enough credit to educate others, to perform education arts as a need in Hawaii. As much as they say it is, it's not really introduced as much. And I think that should be the forefront first, is to make education a little bit cheaper. One way how it can happen is state taxes. I know a lot of people don't like state taxes, but it is one sufficient way to lower the cost, so that way education over here in Hawaii is a little bit cheaper.
So, what are your views on war, and when do you think it's necessary for a country to intervene in war?
I think war is a very dangerous thing to talk about, let alone when you put innocent lives in threat. I know that a lot of countries that are going through domestic wars in their own nation, a lot of families are being harmed, a lot of people around, let alone countries that are surrounded by those countries that are in war, are being harmed. So it's not a very healthy habit to create war, let alone in your own country. I know even in the United States, there's racial wars, there's ethnic wars, there's a lot of wars happening that are very under the scenes. So to me, my opinion on war is very, very crucial, let alone it's a topic that shouldn't be discussed to solve any problems, because it doesn't solve any problems. It only causes bigger problems in the future.
Do you think war is necessary sometimes, like when Hitler rise? Like, there's sometimes people are bad enough that you have to intervene.
I think it is, if you put it in that sense. But if there is a time where innocent lives are being put in danger, you always have to make sure that you're calling the right decision to call out the right people. And I think at the wrong time it can cause a lot of families to lose lives.
All right, what are your views on stealing?
It sucks. I've been a person that actually had stuff stolen from their house. I have experienced robbery firsthand, and it is not the best thing for anybody to go through. So stealing never should be a situation or any advice to anybody to do, let alone if you're trying to take advantage of somebody else's wealth. Earning it the right way is what should be done and what should be settled correctly.
All right, thank you, Gavin.
All right, we got Jared here, Jared Rivera. What do you think of drunk driving?
What do I think about it? I think that if you drive drunk, you are not responsible, and you are putting the lives of innocent people in danger. If you are drunk, you should call a friend, a family member, or call a cab to get you to where you need to be.
Okay, so you don't believe that it's morally
It is not
right?
Yes. No.
Okay. What are your thoughts on war?
As in,
So, for example, do you think war is necessary? And do you think it's morally and ethically just?
I don't think it's morally or ethically just. I think, however, just the way that people are, the human race is very violent. From the beginning of time, people have always used war or some type of fighting to gain access to different kinds of things. So I think that war is inevitable, and it's not ethically or morally right, but I think there will always be war at some point.
All right. Since colleges and universities demand tens of thousands of dollars for you to get your education, what is your idea on the high education price?
Well, I think that, well, obviously, when you think of a college student or a college graduate, there's this kind of a prestige that goes along with the name of that. And it definitely, you go to college, you're more qualified than a high school graduate. So, do I think that colleges should be charging the ridiculous amounts that they charge? No. But I do think they have a right to charge money for their services, but I don't think actually I did a paper about this. Colleges are kind of like businesses. They don't really they want to give you your education, but they also want to make a lot of money off you. So in that sense, I just don't think that they should be charging the ridiculous amounts that they charge.
So what do you think about cheating?
Cheating as in,
for example, we can look at cheating as either cheating on a test
okay,
or cheating on a person.
do you want both?
Yeah.
Okay, well, cheating on a test obviously is wrong. Cheating is something that you would have to be okay with in your mind if you're going to do it. Cheating on a test obviously just means that you weren't prepared for it, or you didn't want to prepare for it, but you also want to pass. I don't agree with cheating, but people do it anyways. As for cheating on a person, I strongly believe that is very wrong to do. I feel like if you're gonna cheat on somebody, or if you're thinking about being with someone, that you should end things with the person you're with before you see another person, because cheating is very wrong.
All right, thank you for today. All right, we have Jacob here. We're gonna ask him a couple questions about ethics. So first of all, thank you for being here. So for the first question is, what do you think of drunk driving, and is it morally or ethically just?
Drunk driving? I would say that drunk driving is absolutely not moral. In terms of, it puts other people's lives at risk and things like that. So I do not support drunk driving. I think if you plan on drinking, you should have someone else drive for you, because that's not responsible. And like I said, it puts other people's lives at risk. And
Have you had any friends that were involved in drunk driving?
not that I could possibly say that I've had friends in drunk driving situations. I might have had someone possibly drink, maybe one or two drinks, but in terms of fully drunk, or like to the point where definitely they should not be driving, I have personally not come across a situation like that.
So what are your thoughts on war? Do you think it's necessary, and do you think it can be morally justified?
I think war, I don't know if I'd say war is necessary, but I mean, there's a point where each country has to protect itself and things like that, and keep each other in line. So I think if one country or another steps out of that line or does something that they shouldn't, then maybe it should not result to war, but there should be some type of consequence just to keep everyone else safe, type of thing. And what was your other question?
Do you think that there's any instances where it's like morally justified to have war?
Like I said, we can resort back to maybe Pearl Harbor, for example, when the Japanese attacked, and the United States responded and retaliated back. One could say that is a justified result or example of war. However, taking each other's lives, is that really an eye for an eye? Is that really what we want? That's a question you have to ask yourself.
Okay, so colleges are asking for tens of thousands of dollars every year for your education to get a degree. What do you think of this? Do you think that they're justified to be asking for lots of money?
I think in terms of, I mean, someone's got to pay for the education, right? Whether it's ourselves or the government. I think, you know, education nowadays is getting, you know, pricey in terms of it only goes up each and every year. So, you know, there's people that come from, you know, families that can't afford education, things like that. Which, you know, schools implement scholarships and things like that, and if you perform well academically, you can earn scholarships, which is a good thing, I'd say. But in terms of everyone, if you want everyone to be able, to be educated, education needs to come at a more affordable price and cost. That way, you know, you have more people that are educated, and it's just a lot, you know, a lot more easier to access and things like that.
So it doesn't seem very ethical because it's not very accessible to.
Yeah, I'd say correct. I'd say that you know, education nowadays it's not as easy, you know, to be accessed in terms of, you know, people being able to afford it.
All right, so the last issue we're going to talk about is cheating. So what do you think about cheating?
When in terms of academically, relationship wise, and what kind of terms are you talking about?
Both ways. So let's go with academically first.
Academically cheating, I'd say, is looked down upon. I mean, I personally do not participate in something like that. I take, you know, I'm very, you know, trying to think of my words right now, but I take it very seriously in terms of, you know, doing well in school and, you know, feeling like you actually achieved something, you actually did that, you know, you worked hard, you put in the time, instead of, you know, took a shortcut and things like that. Relationship wise, I'd say that the same thing. You know, if you're in a relationship with someone and, you know, you're with that person, you want someone to give you all the attention and say, you know, and right back type of thing. You know, why go outside of that or do something behind someone's back if that's, you know, why not just be upfront if that's, you know, if you're not in it anymore type of thing. So,
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jacob.
yep.
Dr. Travis McKenna.
Okay, so what are your views on drunk driving, and do you have any like experience or friends that have ever done this, or anyone you know?
Well, obviously it's against the law. So I don't have a lot of friends that I know have admitted to doing it, but I know that some actually have.
Okay. And then what are your views on war, and do you think war can be necessary sometimes?
I think that's very situational. So I think, yeah, it should be necessary sometimes. But my general views are I wish it didn't have to happen.
Yeah. All right, this one should be personal to you as a teacher. What are your views on high price of education, and how do you think it could be handled?
Okay. Obviously, I think that college is too expensive, based off of how many student loans I have myself. But how to handle it, when we talk in terms of public education, I think four-year public college education should be free for those that make under a certain amount, families that make under a certain amount of money a year. But other than that, I think if you have the funds to pay for it, it should be cheaper for everyone, period. But if you have the funds to pay for it, then you should be able to do that. But if you come from a family that doesn't have a lot of income, then there should be some ways around that. So.
All right, and the last question is about stealing. Do you think could be a situation where stealing is necessary? Like if you had to steal bread to feed your family or something like that along those lines.
I'm going to say no, that there isn't ever a situation when stealing is okay. I think that there are ways to find needs and wants, and there are ways to do that other than stealing. If it came down to life and death, I think that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Where I think there could be other options other than stealing.
All right, that's it.
Cool.
Thank you.
We're good.